Hey everybody, welcome to season 2, episode 2 of the Texas Outlaw Running Talk Show. This is your host, Briston Rains, and co-host.
Carley Rains.
And today, Carly has something special planned for us. Carly, do you want to go ahead and tell everybody what you got?
Yeah, so today's topic is running myth or truth, and how this is going to work is we have a cup of running myths or truths that Briston is going to draw out of, and he's going to read whatever he grabs, and he has to guess if it is a running myth or running truth, and then I will tell him if he's right or if he's wrong, and we'll give you some information about that topic.
Cool.
So, are you ready to get
Thanks.
started?
I honestly think this is gonna be pretty easy because I've been running for so long. So like I think I'm gonna pretty much be able to tell if it's true or not. Just
I don't know, because like some of these, I was really shocked when it told me what it was, but then it gave like the scientific answer and it made sense. So I think some of these are kind of tricky,
eh,
but
I think it's gonna be easy.
okay.
All right,
You
so
go
I'll
ahead.
just pull one out of here.
Yep.
I gotta get for the ASMR. I gotta get the sound of me getting it
Okay, you
out.
get the sound.
I just satisfied somebody's ears. All right. The birth of the Olympic marathon came from a myth slash story legend.
Is that a myth or is that a truth?
That's a truth because the Olympic marathon originated from the here, hold on, hear me out. Give me a second.
Okay, yeah,
So
go ahead.
hold on. So the story behind the marathon, I think everybody or most runners know that have ran the marathon. The story behind the marathon is back in Rome, or I guess back thousands of years ago. Um, some guy needed to get a message to another, uh, to like his king, and so he ran 26, what they think is 26 miles through the desert. Um, and technically, that story. So the question is that story myth
Or is
or
it a legend?
is it a legend? And I want to say that story. Um, I I think that story was actually a fact.
Yeah, so you're right. So it's
Yeah.
true. So it was inspired by a professional messenger. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name, but it starts with a P. He ran a marathon, or actually, no, he ran from Marathon to Athens. So
Yeah.
Marathon was a city. He ran from there to Athens, probably the distance of a marathon, which is where we get the name marathon from, to deliver a message of victory, Greeks over the Persians. On the delivery, he drops dead. Robert Browning retold this mythical tale in a poem inspiring today's competitive race. So he actually died.
So it's a myth.
No,
It just says Robert Poing said this mythical tale.
this mythical tale in a poem inspiring today's. No, it's based. No. The question is there the statement that you read says the birth of the Olympic marathon came from a myth slash story legend. That's true. It's not, it's a, the story is a myth, and the question that you read is true. That's kind of a tricky, do you get it? So this story is a myth.
Right.
Right. But what is true is that the Olympic marathon came from a myth slash legend.
All right. Anyways.
Anyways,
All right. Next one.
okay, yep. All right, go ahead.
Gotta get the ASMR sound. Hold on. Give me a minute. Yes. Blessing the ears today. All right. Running will make you skinny.
So is that a myth or is that true? Is that a truth?
Okay. Running will make you skinny is a myth because if uh someone who is not skinny goes and runs one time, they're not going to be instantly skinny when they're done. And also, you can be a runner and run every single day and never lose weight and never be skinny because you don't change your diet. So, this is a myth.
Okay, so that you're right. It is a myth. The scientific evidence talks about how a lot of times when people decide to lose weight, they think of running and cardio. And typically, especially when you're training for a race, your body stores the fats, and I'm not going to be super technical in the terminology. So, your body does store extra fat when you're training. So, you can use running to lose weight, but the whole agenda of, well, running makes you skinny is a myth because the how your body processes, I don't know all the scientific information about it, but how your body processes your run, it's storing up extra things because you're burning cardio. And a lot of strength and conditioning and endurance coaches, a lot of fitness people will tell you that the key to losing weight actually is diet. It is your nutrition. That's like 70% of what your stomach looks like is tied to your nutrition, but it's also weight training. Weight training, and I learned this in college. When you do cardio, you only burn calories when you're doing the cardio. So when you're running, when you're biking, when you're swimming. But when you strength train and you're lifting weights, your body actually is burning calories after you strength train. So,
Let me add, because
okay.
and this is approximate, but for every mile someone runs, they will burn approximately 100 calories.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this
That's
isn't
good.
exact. If you run that mile super fast, it's going to be different than if you run it super slow at like a 20-minute mile pace. So approximately though you burn about 100 calories every mile, and so hypothetically, if you burned 1,000 calories a day just from running, not including your natural calorie burning. Let's say you burn 1,000, and let's say that day you eat 800 calories, so you're at negative 200 calories for the day. You will lose weight.
Yeah, you're also, I want to add, I forget what they call this, but your body, even if you sat on the couch all day long, your body, in order to function, your body burns calories.
Well, yeah. So
So you would actually be more than 200
I
because,
know. I'm just saying it's a guaranteed. Like
right,
you can track that.
right.
And
Yeah.
if you wear a watch like I do, like it'll track even my calories that I burn, even whenever I'm not exercising. It'll still, like when I wake up in the morning, it'll say you burned 82 calories from sleeping for
So
6 hours. Yeah. So, anyways,
I last thing I want to add before we move on is I think the running will make you skinny. I personally I don't think the goal is to be skinny because you can have an eating disorder and be really unhealthy mentally and physically even though you look super skinny. I think the agenda and the goal should be to create good habits. So like I want to like run consistently for 4 days a week or like set things that are controllables because at the end of the day you can control what you eat and you can control what your body does but you don't necessarily have control of like how your body looks but you can control what you do with your body and that will affect how your body
yeah,
looks if
yeah,
that makes sense.
you have control with how your body looks. Like, let me bring up the story of David Goggins.
I disagree.
Mr. David Goggins was this guy who was spraying for pest. He worked a pest control job. I think he was living by himself. He's this big 300-pound dude. He saw these Navy SEALs on TV and he was like, I'm tired of my life. I'm gonna be a Navy SEAL. So dude hopped on a bike and for every day, all day, all he did was sit there and bike and sweat and he ate very little food. And he was able, I think it might have been in, I need to look back at the book, but like within 30 days or 60 days, he like lost all his fat and started building muscle and like completely changed the way he looked.
No, but what I'm saying is like people's bodies look different. Some people can lift weights and lift and lift and lift, and their toning is not as much as like what other
Well,
people's are.
that's what food comes into too. Like your
We
body.
just might disagree on this
Well,
topic.
no, it depends on the food you eat. Because if you lift a bunch of weights and you're lifting a bunch of weights, and by the way, just legal reasons, we are not
Yeah, we're not like,
professionals. We're not professionals, but um, if you eat lean proteins like grilled chicken steak, vegetables, and you stay away from the carbs and the fatty foods while weightlifting and running, and you're trying to lose weight, you will get muscle tone and start to see muscle.
I think
That's
we're like, I get, yes, I agree with that. But what I'm saying is like, if I have very broad, if I have a very broad shoulders and I want my waistline to be like so many inches, I can't control that because I didn't create my body. And that would be
well,
wrong
you
of
can't
me
obviously you can't control your bones, your the way your bones are shaped,
talking about is
but
like,
you can control the fat on your body
you
and
can,
the muscle
yes, but
growth.
like to say the deal was running will make you skinny.
Right.
And so you can look at somebody and they're super, super thin, but their bone structure is super, super thin compared to someone who might be bigger boned and broader shoulders. They're not going to look the same,
Right.
if that makes
You
sense.
can't control your bones.
Yeah, yeah, you can't. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Control the controllables.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to the next one.
All right. All right. Can't forget the sound. All right. You must carb load the night before a race. This is a myth. You don't have to carb load the night before a race. There's a guy that ran 100 miles that ate no food at all for the entire 100 miles, and he ended up
No,
being
it's the
okay.
night before the race. That's
Right.
well, that was during the race.
Right. You don't have to absolutely carb load right before a race. It says you must carb load the night before a race. That's a myth. You don't have to carb load right before a race.
Yeah, but every runner, I mean, you know this in college, every time we go to a race,
Right. It's a traditional thing. It's a traditional thing because
extra blood.
it gives you extra glucose and energy to burn at the end of your race if you're running a marathon.
Right.
But generally, carb loads aren't good for anything above
You mean
I would
below?
say half marathon and above, carb loading's good because it gives you energy at the end of your race. But even then, you don't have to absolutely do it before. It's an option. You don't have to do it. And there's also runners that are on carnivore diets that do just fine, to where all they do is eat meat. So
Yeah, so it is a myth, you are right, and it really depends on your race distance and what you ate throughout the week, which I think is so key. When we were in college, like when you're preparing for a race, it's not just the night before that matters. It truly matters is like the weeks leading up to it. How much water are you drinking? How much sleep are you getting? What are you eating like the weeks leading up to your race? Because that's really going to affect your energy levels and that's going to affect your body. And I think a lot of college athletes don't understand that because I remember Asher. Asher ran with us. We all three ran in college. And Asher is our race director, our Central Texas race director. And he was talking about how looking back in college, he wished he would have prioritized nutrition and sleep and things that would have made him a better runner because it does affect your body and it affects your energy. And so, if you are a college athlete, or even if you're just a competitor in general, getting enough sleep and watching what you eat is important.
yeah, I'm gonna let you grab this next one. I gotta check something real quick. Go
Okay.
ahead. Go ahead. Hey, we're keeping this thing rolling. You're supposed to keep going.
What's wrong?
Nothing. I was checking the time. You're
Okay.
supposed to keep going. Hey, we're not doing any cuts on this, by the way. So like on the audio version, on the video version, y'all are just gonna hear and see that. So you know what? That's all right. We're gonna roll with it.
The answer, so I can't do it.
Well, you could have grabbed and at least read it or
Directions.
something.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So trail running is easier than road running.
Is this a myth or is this a truth?
All right, this is a myth because it's I think the word subjective, maybe. I don't know
Yes,
if I'm
you're
getting
right.
that
You're
right.
right. Yeah, it's subjective.
Yeah, because tr saying trail running is easier than road running, that's obviously completely false because it's all depends on effort and course and how far and how fast. So,
Yes. Yeah. It is. It depends. It's an opinion, not a universal truth. All right, next one.
all
I'm not
right.
gonna add to that one.
Yeah, that one, I think that one was obvious. Did you chat GPT these topics or no?
Yeah,
Oh, you did?
I looked him up. Yeah.
So
I had it
you
list.
used AI for these?
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Well, that one I came up with.
You should stretch before running. This is all are these all myths? This is
No,
also a myth because
first one was the truth.
okay. All right, you should stretch before running. No, this is a complete myth. I think every run I do, I don't ever stretch before. And I actually read in a few books, a couple books actually, that um that runners that stretched right before they went and did a just a typical run.
Yeah.
Runners that stretch right before they went and did a typical. Now, if you're doing like an all-out sprint, yeah, you need to do some dynamic stretching, which is stretching while moving, not just sitting there and holding a stretch. Now, if you're doing all out sprint, you do need to do dynamic stretching. However, if you are running anything outside of a sprint, a fast stride, a jog, a run, a marathon, um, the what I've read in books, and think I read this in two separate books, maybe it was the same one. But runners that stretched before they ran had higher percentages of injury than runners um, who did not stretch before they ran.
Yeah.
So runners that did not stretch before they ran had lower injury rates than runners that stretched before they ran. And again, this is like if you're a fast stud running a 1 200 400 possibly even 800, this doesn't apply to you. But if you're running a mile anywhere to 100 miles, then um it's not absolutely necessary to stretch. And again, I'm not a professional in this area. I'm not a doctor. I'm just giving my opinion. And this whole episode's me giving my opinion and just sharing what I've learned. So,
Yeah. So this is in fact a myth. Instead, you should get your blood flowing and warm up your muscles with, like you said, dynamic stretching. And one thing, when I was in high school, we had
or just like a jog,
yeah,
like a warm-up jog.
yes, we had a coach who ran at Boise State. He ran the 400 hurdles at Boise State, and he was our track coach. And he would get so mad at us. I remember we would start stretching before our workouts, like touching our toes, doing like the quad stretches. He would get so mad at us. He would say, "Stop doing that. Like you need to do movement stretches, warming up." So it's funny because we were like, "Why are you getting mad at us for stretching when we're about to run?" But it's like what you said. It's not good for your muscles. I don't know all the terminology, but dynamic stretching and please do not confuse. We're not talking about warming up. You should warm up before a run.
Well, no, if you're gonna go run 100 miles or even a 50K or even some marathons, you don't need to warm up at all.
Yeah,
Like
but stretching and warming up is different, and I feel like we put the two together. Like, oh, if I'm stretching, I'm warming up, but it's not the same.
warming up is literally warming your muscles up, like you're doing like a jog is a warm up.
Yeah. All right.
And however, it is good. It is good to stretch
After,
after
yes, it's very
and
good.
static stretch.
Yes,
Static stretch means static stretch means that you're holding a position, you're holding a stretch in the same position. You're not moving,
yes,
like touching your toes, for
yes.
example. So that is important to do after your run.
It is a good cool down. It's a good cool down,
Yeah.
whereas dynamic stretch is a good warm up. All right, next one.
All right. The runner's high is a real thing.
Is that a truth or is that a myth? Is the runner's high a myth or is the runner's high a truth?
It's a truth because I've experienced it myself. Runner's high is a real thing, and that's fact. Like if you sit on the couch for 2 months and then you go out for a 10-15 minute run, you're probably gonna get a runner's high.
So when do people typically get a runner's high? Because we've had people come to us when we ran in college and they're like, I don't know how y'all run all the time. Like we run for punishment. So clearly they never got the runner's high. So when do you think a person who's running gets the runner's high? Is
They
it,
probably get it when it's psychologically. It all comes down to psychology, in my opinion. But psychologically, when you have this challenge and you want to complete it and you complete it, then in your brain, I feel like there's a chemical reaction that feels good when you finish it, and that's where you get the runner's high. Like, oh, I'm gonna go try and run 1 mile, and then you do it. Boom, you get this emotional chemical reaction in your brain,
dopamine?
dopamine, and then that's the runner's high. There you go. And
Um,
it feels good.
yeah.
So that's what I think. I don't know. I don't know the science behind it.
I think yeah, at a certain point in your training, like if you're going straight from the couch to running, it's going to take you probably a few weeks before you feel a runner's high.
No, I bet you could feel it in the first couple days, few days.
Honey, when I came back from postpartum and I started running again, I mean, it took like several weeks before I experienced
It
a
depends
runner's
on the
high.
person. What does the science say on it?
I didn't write down that. I just wrote down, I'm trying to find it. No, I just wrote down that it was true because it is true.
Is it?
But the science behind it is like what you said, like exercise is really good because you have a release, a chemical release in your brain,
Well, yeah.
which a lot of people who probably struggle with mental health illnesses in terms of like depression and anxiety and things like that, you know, are they exercising or are they sitting in a room
Yeah.
isolating themselves?
You got
Because
people.
another great thing about running
You got
is
people that are depressed and anxious that are runners and stuff.
right, but it's a release for them. That's what I'm saying, which can be a form of the runner's high.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
and I think it helps when you're out in nature because it's calming.
Well, that's scientific too. Being out in nature relaxes you.
Yes.
All right. Running improves your heart health. This is also true. This is factual. Running does improve your heart health. It makes your heart stronger. It makes your blood uh, a lot better, and it's good. Yeah.
Yes. If you are a consistent runner and you go to the doctor, I guarantee you your heart rate is going to be like in the 50s.
Well,
And they're going
it
to,
completely depends on what shape you're in, what age. So I
okay,
wouldn't put a
that's
number
true.
out
Yeah.
there. But your heart rate should be
Low.
below what they normally get if you've been training consistently as a runner.
Yes.
So,
Exercise, just daily exercise keeps you super healthy. So, all right, next one.
all right. How many more we got?
A few more.
Okay. All right.
We don't have to do all of them if you don't want to.
You can run 9 months pregnant. Technically, you can. I wouldn't suggest it. The baby might pop out. But yes, that is true. You can run 9 months pregnant, technically.
Did you
So,
see, yeah, that is true. Did you see that woman who she ran like 100 miles? I don't remember her name, but she, after being 6 months pregnant, I mean, 6 months postpartum,
yeah, I think I
and she
saw that.
won the race.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, let's knock these last few out. Potassium will prevent camp cramping. Um, I'm probably gonna say myth because potassium's not the only thing you need to prevent camping. You need sodium, you need potassium. Potassium's part of it, but not all of it. And then you need some other stuff. I forgot what it all is. But no, potassium alone is not good. Eating a banana is not just gonna make your cramp go away instantly. So
Yeah. So that's right. So fun fact that sometimes, and I've experienced this, I don't know if you ever have, but sometimes when you go for a run and you stop, your muscles will do like these little twitching things. And some people associate it with cramping, but it actually has to do with like your muscles being activated.
yeah. Now, if you want to make some cramps go away, drink some pickle juice. Um, it's funny, Pickle Power, the company that makes pickle juice, it's not actual pickle juice. It's actually a bunch of different ingredients put together, and it does taste like pickle juice. It's actually stronger th than pickle juice. Um, but drink some of that stuff. That'll make your cramps go away.
Okay, you want to know something funny?
Yeah.
I did not know that a pickle was a cucumber soaked in vinegar.
Oh, yeah.
No, I thought a pickle was its own food group. Like I thought a pickle was like its own thing, and then a cucumber was its own thing. I didn't know that they took cucumbers and soaked them in vinegar until I worked with Kathy, and she's a cook, and she started making homemade pickles. And I'm like, what are you doing soaking a cucumber in vinegar? And she said, that's how you make pickles. And I was like blown away.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
All right. This one's a funny one.
Is that the last one?
No, we got one more after this.
Okay, what is it?
Running will ruin your knees. That's a myth. Running is going to ruin your knees if you heel strike all the time and run on concrete for the rest of your life. But if you run on mixed surfaces, run on your forefoot, it's not very likely that running is going to ruin your knees. But no, people being like, "Oh, you're not going to be able to walk when you're 80." That's completely false.
Yeah.
The idea is we have cartilage in our knees, and that when you run, it damages that cartilage. But it all completely depends. Like, are you running on concrete every day? And if you are you heel striking? Because if you heel strike, that's a direct impact on your knees where your cartilage is, and it'll affect your cartilage, making your knees hurt. And that will ruin your knees. So, um, running in general will ruin your knees. That's a myth.
Yeah, so you're doing really good on these.
I told you that there wasn't going to be anything that was going to surprise me.
Well, okay, so fun fact that usually what hurts a person's knees and joints is poor strength in their quads and in their leg muscles. And so a lot of times people like trainers and athletic fitness people, when you have pain somewhere, so if I have pain on my hip right here, a lot of times this isn't the problem. It's probably a surrounding area that I need to stretch, and it's just causing this area to be painful. And so that's the same with your knee pain. If
I'll,
you strengthen your quads and you strengthen your leg muscles and your hip muscles, you will not have knee pain when you run. And I guess, running will ruin your knees is a byproduct of poor strength, but it's not, running isn't the main issue. It's your lack of strength in your legs.
yeah, in college, I had a knee injury, running knee injury, and it just hurt so bad. And that's what they did. They had me strengthen my quad and then do these hip exercises. And
Mhm.
I did those every day for like 2 or 3 years. And used to like when I back then when I would run, my knees would hurt. But when I started strengthening my quads and then doing the hip exercises with the
Yeah.
bands, I no longer had knee pain. And ever since that moment in college, from me strengthening my legs to now, I have not had I have not had knee pain again because I've been strengthening my quads and my hips, and so that's helped tremendously.
Yes.
And it's completely true. Like if you have knee pain, I've had a few people walk up to me at races and be like, "Hey, my knee hurts right here," and I'll be like, "Hey, man, you need to strengthen your quads and you need to get hip bands started hip strength stuff." And
Yeah.
it's not overnight. It took me a few months, but.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, if you have knee pain, there's your fix. Hit the
Yeah.
gym. Or
Yeah.
you don't have to hit the gym. Just
Do some squats.
well
Wall sits?
no, the hip band thing, you can do the hip band thing at home for like 5 minutes a day. And then as far as strengthening your quads, there's like a there you can literally look it up on internet or YouTube. There's so many different strength training things you can do. And if you just do it like 10 to 15 minutes a day,
Yeah,
every day, like 5 days a week, you'll be ready to rock and roll. So,
that sounds good.
last one.
Last one.
Strength training is unnecessary. Unnecessary is defined as not
Not needed.
necessary. Strength training is not needed. Technically, that is true. You don't absolutely need strength training to run, although it does help.
Yeah. So I put a myth for this. Um,
Yeah, that's what I say myth.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, it's strength training is very important. It prevents injury and it can also make you faster because you're getting stronger. So when you say it's unnecessary for running, um, no, I think it's,
It's not, yeah, it is not necessary.
yeah, I think, no, that's a myth. It is
You're
necessary.
confusing me now with your language. No, you don't absolutely need it to run
I
because,
mean, I guess, but if you
yeah,
want to run successfully, you might want to do it.
well, no, I mean, even Eliud Kipchoge and how the Kenyans train, that when they go do their quote unquote strength training, there's like no weight on the bar. It's really just for mobility. It's not even weights. Like they just put a bar on their back and then do it for mobility reasons.
Should have said resistance training because when you're a runner, you can do resistance training and that's still strengthening your muscles.
Um, but no, it is not necessary.
Okay. So, thanks for staying tuned for all of those running myths and truths. So, something fun that we're doing is that if you have a question about running or training for a certain race, um, nutrition, fuel, aid station food, how to, run with aid station fueling, or if you have a funny story about your running experience, please share that. Email us at texasoutlaw running @gmail.com. And your question or story just might be on one of our episodes.
Yeah. Yep. Well, we're just about at our time limit.
Yeah,
So
we are.
thanks for listening, y'all. We appreciate y'all listening. If you want to help support this podcast, there's two things you can do. Number one, you can leave a review, 5-star review on the podcast. And then the second thing you can do is you can share this with a friend that you think might like it. If you do those two things, it'll help us out. But that's pretty much everything I can think of.
Yeah.
We'll see y'all next week on the Texas Outlaw Running Talk Show.
Yep. Be sure to subscribe and follow us on social media so you can keep up with all of our updates.
Yeah, sounds good. All right, see you on the next one.
Good job.
There you go. Those are all easy.
Did you think they were going to be hard?
You made them sound like they were when you were like, "Ooh."